Today I will be covering high order methods in JavaScript. First thing first, what are high order functions? In JavaScript, a high order function is a function that either takes another function as an argument or returns a function as a result. This concept is a fundamental concept because many array methods in JavaScript are high order functions. They allow us to write clean and powerful code to perform operations on arrays. Now let's look at these methods one by one. I want to begin with map. Okay, map method. Before even going into the syntax of the map, now I will create an array, const array, and let's call this array nums. Okay, and we will throw in this array some numbers. And my question is, how can I create a new array? How can I create a new array with each element multiplied by 2? Okay, so of course always I can just multiply them because I have just 5 numbers here and just create a new array, but that's not the point because in your data you don't have always only 5 data, right? And if we didn't know any high order methods, and what we would use like a basic for loop, right? Because the operation needs to be done on this array. Take this array, grab every data point, every number in this array one by one, multiply them by 2, and place them into a new array. Not necessarily into a new array, but because there is no condition here, we can easily put them inside of a new array. So step by step, now let's do that. First, create a new empty array because we are going to store that multiplied array in it. New array, and this new array is going to be empty at first. Now let's create a for loop which will receive the array nums, and then every data inside of the array nums, that's where we are doing, right? Like this is like I is the index number here. We are grabbing every data from starting index 0 and multiplying it by 2, applying the push method on the new array we have just created, and pushing all those numbers, throwing them into our new array. If I go back here now and console.log the new array, console.log the new array, I should see multiplied elements in it, right? Okay. Well, this is a very simple operation, and believe me, when you start writing code, this is something you will do it many times. And how many lines of code we had to write to achieve that simple operation, transform this array into this 1, 2, 3, 4, you know, a lot of code for such a simple operation. Now, with the map method, the high order map method, we can do this exactly the same thing with only one line of a code. So now let's apply the map, okay? We receive our array nums. Because that is an array method, we apply the map with the dot notation on the array we want to transform. So from my example, you can understand that map is about transforming an array. Whenever there is an operation, you had to apply every element in an array, you got to consider of map method. Hope it's just like this, okay? method. Now, this method receives a parameter. Well, receives more than one parameter, but now I will speak only about one. Receives a parameter, and that is going to be a callback function now. And in this callback function, the here this callback function as a parameter is able to accept every data on the array, because the map behind the scenes is doing the for loop, this operation we just created here itself. By applying the map like this, behind the scenes, this for loop is applied on this array. And now all you have to do, you have to write the necessary syntax for this to happen. And the necessary syntax is to apply the map like this, and then pass this callback function like so. And then to that callback function, we are going to give a parameter. And let's call this num, because we can give any names, but it's the array of numbers. And then in the body of the callback function, you just need to define what operation you wanna do on each number. In this case, we wanna multiply them by 2. Now, if I just console.log this line, okay, like so, I should be seeing that array. Okay, and all we had to do is to apply the map just like that. And look at this code here, all this code here, and look at this code. And all these things map is doing behind the scenes. It is applying the for loop on the array nums array, multiplying it, and because each time the operation is going to be different, you have the freedom of defining that operation and the place that you need to define this operation in the body of the callback function map is receiving. And now we said, I want you to multiply every number in this array by 2. And then map is creating a new array and placing multiplied numbers in it and returning it. Okay. Uh, so you can see also, please pay attention also, map is not changing the original array, it's creating a new copy of the array, a transformed copy of array. Okay, that's all about map. And the next method, filter. Let's keep the array nums array. And next problem is, how can I create a new array? How can I create a new array with only even numbers in it? Okay. And we are trying to understand the filter. Let's write here filter. Filter method. Okay. Well, again, with no filter methods, what we would do, we would probably create an empty array to store the even numbers in it, like so. And as the next step, again, we need a for loop because we need to check every data if it is an even number or not. So we set up our for loop like so. And then we would have our if statement to check if the current number is an even number or not. We pick up the number from the array, apply the modulus reminder operator, and if a number divided by 2, we get a 0, no reminder, it's an even number, right? And if this is correct, then we are going to push this data, current data, into the even numbers. So at this point, my even numbers must be populated. Just console.log it, even numbers. And let's see, yes, we successfully selected the even numbers. They are here. Well, again, with filter method, we can achieve this result in only in one line of a code. Okay, because just like map, it's a array method, so we are going to apply it directly on the array itself. We will receive the array nums and apply the filter. And again, the filter is going to receive a callback function. Let's write the callback function here. Now, again, the filter, just like map, is able to for loop to the array without you doing nothing. So, and every number she's for looping can be passed to that callback function as a parameter. So we just need to give a parameter name here because it will be automatically assigned to any data in that array. And again, it's a number, so I will just give the name num. And in the body of the arrow function, this time you are going to write the conditioning you would be placing in the if statement, right? So we want to just return any number will return true from that comparison. So basically, just like this if statement here. Filter is going to throw every number inside of that array into that callback function. In the body of the callback function, any number returns through that conditioning. This comparison here is going to be replaced into an empty array. You don't need to care about that empty array because it all will be created through filter method, okay? And now if I just console.log here, that line, console.log here and there, well, voila, okay? And that's how the filter works. Next is the reduce method, okay? Uh, Now, as the next problem, let's try to figure out how we can write a simple code to get the sum of all the numbers in the array. Okay. So, as many of you can guess, maybe like we will hold a variable and a number, initialize it with 0, then we will have our for loop again, because again, we need to go over all the array one by one and add up all the numbers, the value of the numbers in this variable we created. Now, if we console.log the sum, it's here. Okay. Again, with reduce, we could do this in one line of a code, like so. We receive the array nums array and apply the reduce, just like the other two, like the filter or map methods we discussed here. And again, this method is going to receive the callback function, okay? But unlike the map or filter, we will add here two parameters into that callback function. One of them is going to be accumulator, And the other one, let's call this sum or current number. Current num. Okay. What are these parameter about? I think the current num is obvious because obviously reduce also has to do a for loop over that array. And every number can be, again, just like the map or the filter, passed into that callback function. And it's definitely the current num is going to hold that number. Um, but what is the accumulator? Now, because we want to receive the number, right, the sum this time, and we want to reduce this array basically into one number, we need some kind of a variable each time when we are traveling in the array. We need a variable just like here in this example. We had to create a variable called sum in order to accumulate the current sum. We also need a variable here for so we can use for this job. It's not gonna do it just to have the current number. That's why we can pass this parameter because its job is to accumulate the sum. And the order of these parameters are important. Okay, the first parameter is going to be the accumulator, and the second parameter is going to be the current num. And in the body of that arrow function, again, we are describing the operation we will do. And here, because we are um, numeric sum, we are doing the numeric sum, so we are summing the accumulator with the current number. Now you can see here, this is the arrow function, a second parameter in the reduce, and its value is 0. It is exactly like setting the accumulator's initial value to 0, just like here you initialize the sum as 0. So the way to do it in the arrow function, the syntax to do it in arrow function, is to pass the accumulator starter value as a second parameter to the reduce function. And this will be automatically assigned to accumulator. Now, if I just cancel that like this, we will get the exactly the same result with the previous one. Okay, so what the reduce is doing here, it is accepting receiving the callback function in the reduce is accepting two parameters, one of them accumulator and the other one is the current number. When we apply that rule, the accumulator, the first value of the accumulator is going to be 0, and the current number on the array is going to be 1. So 1 plus 0 is going to return 1. Now, before the next summation start, accumulator value is going to be 1 and the current number is going to be assigned into 2. So each time when we for loop, the current sum is going to be assigned to the accumulator as the current value. Okay, that's how reduce work behind the scenes. I try to explain the most important and most popular high order array methods in this tutorial. I hope all was clear. If you like my channel, don't forget to like and subscribe. It really helps. See you in the next tutorial.